Today, August the 3rd, 2023, is the centenary of the inauguration of one of our greatest presidents ever, Calvin Coolidge. And I wish I could somehow, if I could do something, if my wish, my legacy, I wish I could do this. I don't think it's going to happen, but because I think it's because of the American educational system. But if I could somehow get people to, on their own, love history and just research history, just use this incredibly important resource called YouTube and listen to the history of people that you would have never thought, there would be any interest. There is a woman named Amity Schlaze who has, I think, the best. I think she's in charge of the Calvin Coolidge Society. He is one of the most fascinating individuals who today, well, when Warren Harding died, most probably poisoned by his wife Florence in San Francisco. With where do I even start? I get ahead of myself. I'm so excited. And nobody knows anything about this because people have been told that history is boring. People had boring teachers. We don't investigate. We need to get people to actually care about things, to be interested, to say, I'm going to learn that. To be an autodidact, a self-taught person. You don't need to go to college. YouTube has some of the best. Brian Lamb, God bless him, C-SPAN books. You want to learn about Oppenheimer? Don't see that stupid movie. It doesn't even come close to it. Leo Szilard, but it's actually Leo Szilard. That's the interesting one. Heisenberg is fascinating. Niels Bohr, the fight over quantum mechanics. Then this was it. This is it, not this stupid movie. I don't understand it. Something happened where our sense of unquenchable fascination over history, we just never had it. And I think it's because of our schools. I think it's because of what's happening. And then you try to tell people, listen, what's happening right now is so historic in so many ways. Do you understand what even historic means? And I don't think people understand this. And what is happening right now regarding Trump is so fascinating. It is at levels you cannot understand or appreciate or even fathom. And yet, what it is you'll get these people, the closest you'll get is, hi, I love Trump. He's my man. He's great. It's like, no. This is, stop. Is he your boyfriend? Why do you, hey, he's great. No, that's not what we're talking about. I mean, he's great, whatever, but that's not it. Do you see what is happening in terms of, this is almost Soviet in terms of, what was he? Valenti Beria. Remember Stalin's man who says, show me the man and I'll show you the crime. This is pure totalitarian, incredible. Do you recognize this? Do you recognize? Let me stop you right there. You have been so terrific to us, Mrs. Ellen and me. You're being a part of this. You're being passionate is so important, and I appreciate it immensely. Please like this video. It's important. These metrics mean a lot. Subscribe to the channel because it means a lot. And hit that little bell. And also, thank you for being so great. And by the way, taking advantage of some of the greatest deals ever with our great sponsor, mypillow.com. I love these people. I love that man. And anybody who was rebellious, who was cantankerous, anybody who is a maverick, anybody who says I'm doing things my way, I love it. I love it. As I inhale my coffee this morning. So mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. And the link's right there, by the way. Now let's get back to brass tacks. Let's get back to what's going on here. Listen to me carefully. I want you to understand, to grasp what is happening. I almost want to take my own pen light and force you to say, no, over here, this side. No, look over here. Follow the pen over here. I want to try to change your focus here. Look what's going on. Look at what's happening here. Look at what's happening here. Follow the light. Let me throw this one at you too. We have these people who are, I think it's a bit of what is called scattered energy. I had a psychic tell me that one time. I went to a thing called a psychic fair. I don't know what. I went along kind of as a friend. It was interesting. And I heard this expression, scattered energy. I was told I had scattered energy. I don't know what the hell that means, but I like it. I use it a lot because it's confusing. You have scattered energy. As we speak, the number of colleges, universities that are still mandating vaccinations, boosting, cards, the whole bit, nothing has changed. Let me say that to you. With all of this discussion and all of this Bobby Kennedy and all of this Fauci and all of this Rand Paul and gain of function and CDC and Walensky and Big Pharma and nothing's changed. Let me stop. This is history. This is history, what we are seeing. And I can't find people who have a rational ability to understand vaccinology, the law, autonomy, biomedical tyranny, biomedical martial law. Do you own your body? Let me add this context, this question. We always talk about this puberty blocking and gender reassignment in terms of kids evince some form of confusion as to gender. A kid who comes forward and says, I don't know about such and such. I don't know about, okay. What happens when a parent decides, without the child's, quote, consent, that some type of intervention is required as to that child? Meaning, little Morgan, we're going to take to the doctor to have the gender reassignment surgery. We're going to have it done now. She has not asked for it per se, but we, as her parents, know that this might be a good idea, or his parents, or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? The case is Jacobson against Massachusetts from 1905, and it dealt with smallpox vaccinations. And it was a time before incorporation by reference, before a lot of other particular individual protections and the like. We need desperately to have the Supreme Court clarify that, to clarify what is and what is not your attendant rights. Let me ask you something. If you have virulent, contagious hepatitis, you are teeming with hepatitis. You are yellow. You're xanthodermic, yellow skin. The sclera of your eyes. Your bilirubin is through the roof. You've got liver hepatic shutdown. You've got hepatitis. You are a typhoid Mary. You are a walking time bomb. Do you think, yes or no, that you have the right to have this person segregated from you? Yes or no? That's my question. You work at a place, here comes Sally. Here comes Sally, yellow again. Complete hepatic shutdown. Complete. She is just teeming with hepatitis. You said, gee, you're going to get everybody sick. Now, I don't know if there's a vaccine. Doesn't matter. The point is, do you, as a citizen, have the right to say, I want her away from me? Does her right to go out and about and to travel outweigh your right to tell her? What do you think? Here is the question. Listen to what I'm saying now. Do you have the right to tell this person, I want this person quarantined against her wishes? That means locked up, either in a hospital or a jail, whatever you, when you're locked up, you're locked up. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it isolation, quarantine. You're locked up. Your liberty has been completely shut off. Do you have the right to do that? Do you understand this? Somebody writes, if I go out in public, I'm assuming the risk of exposure to other people and all the dangers. Let me try this again. I have something that will definitely make you sick if you come into contact with me. And you're telling me that there's an assumption of risk. Sorry. When you go out here, sorry. So I have my dog that I don't have on a chain, my car with no brakes. Sorry. You assume the risks. Life is tough. You assume the risk that the medication I give you might or might not be dangerous, might or might not be tested. The food that you eat, you go to a restaurant, it might or might not be okay. Bradley Upland, it depends. Very good, very, very good answer. Do you hear that? You're telling me that you as a citizen, sorry, caveat emptor, citizen emptor, well, caveat I should say, beware, that's the way it goes. That's insane. That's insane. You mean to tell me, remember years ago there were people, what about folks who knew they were HIV positive and then went out and had sex with people and infected people? Knowing they were, you think they charge people with attempted murder. Do you think that, well, it's a risk you take? How about somebody who knows they have herpes, knows they have venereal warts, condyloma acuminata, HPV? We don't know. We need court cases to deal with this. I'll be damned if I have to sit here. And if there's something, smallpox, you don't know, you don't want smallpox. That's pretty much, thank God it's gone for the most part. See, this is the part where we have not understood that history is being made now, and we don't understand how the issues before us matter. And how what we're seeing has never been seen before. Now, let me also tell you something about what is happening. And it's difficult because people have no frame of reference. They don't know anything. They don't know anything. Bill Barr said something, and I put this on my little Twitter account today. Bill Barr said something which is let me see if I can do this. Let me see. Where is this? Okay, there we go. Bill Barr says, free speech does not entitle you to engage in fraudulent conspiracy. Bill Barr slaps down claims the First Amendment will protect Donald Trump from indictment charges. Now, here is my question to you. Can you or can you not do this? If I gave you an indictment and said, I'm not going to give you the name of the person. Could be Hillary Clinton, could be Donald Trump, could be whatever it is. To take the facts of the case in the indictment, remove the name, what would you as a judge say? You're saying that Donald Trump knowing that he lost this election, realizing that there was no leg to stand on, went out and theoretically involved the courts and others to disrupt the franchise, to disrupt the order of justice and the order of our system, knowing that he didn't have a leg to stand on. They say, wait a minute, what? What if he believed that? How do you tell if he believed that? What if he believed it a little bit? What if he didn't believe it as much as you would want him to believe it? What if he 90% didn't believe it? What are we talking about? We are indicting somebody for what he said, for what he believes. I mentioned this yesterday. Did any of you look up or research the 1960 election results in Hawaii or Hawaii? Did you? Nixon and Kennedy, Inouye in the House. Nixon, I believe, who did the gentlemanly thing, kind of backed off. It's exactly what's happening right now. It is absolutely, positively, 100% guaranteed. And yet, they are saying this to you. They are taking these people. Do you know how much Eric Holder makes? Do you know Eric Holder? Do you know what do you know what he did? Eric Holder is, I think is it Covington? Let me see. Eric Holder, I think it's Covington. Yeah, Covington and Burling. This guy, he's a senior litigate, whatever it is. Covington and Burling. This is this white shoe law firm. He charges like $2,000, whatever an hour. Their new thing now is they go in and they determine whether you are complying and comporting with ESG, ECI, MOUSE, Human Rights Commission, corporate equity indices. They're just printing money at this place. Bill Barr wants that. Bill Barr, they said, come on with us, Bill. Former U.S. Attorney General? Oh, with the connections. But Bill Barr worked for Trump. See, Eric Holder's, he's 100% pedigree, perfect, because his provenance, because he came straight from Obama, no problem. He just, whatever he says, he is the man. You want to have problems go away? Get Eric Holder. And by the way, people have actually been using the plans that they've been writing and suggesting, and actually been sued because racial preferences is still a bit of a problem. Make a long story short. So Bill Barr says, I want to be like that. So Bill Barr's got to come out and just slam Trump. You've got to slam Trump. That's what we do today. It's critical. You got to slam him. And I'm telling you that Donald Trump, if he's 10% sure he's right, if he's 1% sure, has the constitutional right, the unfettered constitutional right here regarding the vote. Don't forget, to vote, you got to have the Constitution, and the Constitution is nothing without the vote. Okay? It kind of works kind of hand in hand. So this is what's happening right now. Let me tell you what else is happening. This is history. Do you hear what I'm saying? Listen to me when I tell you this. I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm not trying to tell you. This is history like you've never even imagined. This is history. This is bigger than anything you can imagine. This is bigger than anything you can imagine. Do you hear what I'm saying? This is history you're seeing. This is before your very eyes. And we have a country who, by the way, is missing this. This is also important. Fox News is begging Trump. They went flew out to Bedminster to meet with Trump. And Trump's doing it just because he just likes to make them beg. because they need him. They need him. They're dying. They need him. Fox News is nothing without him. Tucker Carlson, this is history, is changing everything. Did you see the latest about Tucker Carlson when he had that they had this interview with somebody from the Capitol Police? They shelved it. Listen to what I'm saying also. Why is this history? For the longest time, people have said the reason why you have these moronic interviews, these moronic 2-minute, 3-minute little nothings on Fox News with some great people. Dershowitz is great. Andy McCarthy is great. Turley's great. All these people are wonderful. You have them on, and here's the best part. They're on for a minute, 2 minutes. Makes no sense. Tucker is having people on 5 minutes, 20 minutes, and people are staying with it. Joe Rogan will talk forever about the windshield bullet regarding the JFK assassination. Peter Juvenal, don't forget Juvenal. Remember the poet, Roman poet, Juvenal, Juvenal, who said bread and circuses. Observing the end of the liberal world, easy. Bronze Age, perfect, correct. The modern ideas of democracy and republics, false. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that right there. Read this. Observing the end of the liberal world order. Bronze Age pervert, correct. The modern ideas of democracy, and this is like scat. This is like doom, 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 like Thelonious Monk. Observing the end of the liberal world order. Doom, 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 easy. Bronze Age pervert, correct. The modern ideas of democracy and democratic republics, false. Doom, 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 doom. Very good. Peter, I'm digging it. Thank you for that. It's a very good one there. Very interesting. Did you see Joe Rogan is drinking Bud Light on his show, getting his guests and saying we have to stop the boycott? That's Joe Rogan's drinking Bud. Listen, Joe Rogan's going to say some stuff that's stupid. I don't care. I think all this smoking dope stuff. By the way, don't forget this one. Here's Bradley Oplin. It depends. Very important. That's the number one legal answer. Look, my personal thing. Did you see this latest interview? The latest. I love this. This kills me. Number one. Did you see there was a woman. She had an eating disorder. She was starving herself. She was anorexic, and they called her a vegan. She died. Called her a vegan. She died, right? They got no. She starved herself. Excuse me. A carnivore can starve themselves. When you stop eating, it doesn't matter what you're doing. What are you talking about? They just hate. And the reason why is very simply this. Because people know that you're eating wrong. They know it. And they hate anybody who is able to, very frankly, they don't like teetotalers. They don't like people they used to hate people who worked out. Now you kind of like them. But anybody who can harness their actual desires to eat and eat healthily, hate them. Here's another one too. I love this. Have you heard this thing about Ozempic? Ozempic, everybody's talking about Ozempic, and they're losing weight. And is it safe? And is it whatever? And they can't stop talking about Ozempic. Oh my God, is it safe? Is it not? What about vaccines? We need somebody to explain. We need to have long-term explanations to reset people. People don't understand the whole notion of immunology. They don't understand it. I told you, I got a friend of mine. He thinks mRNA is messenger RNA. Where have you been? He thinks Pfizer discovered this or something. What? What are you talking about? It's like, it's this, I don't understand it. And despite all of this, we need to sit and not this anti-vax. Let me go back to Joe Rogan. I disagree with all this stuff, but hey, let's get stoned. Listen to what I'm telling you. And listen to me. You are going to screw yourself up if you continue to smoke your brains out. Let me tell you, there is no good in this. None. It is not harmless. Now, I think it's your right. I think it's absolutely your right. I don't think you should be charged criminally with this, but do not tell me that smoking your brains out is good for you. It's not. That's all I'm saying. But it's your right. It's your right. Don't tell me it's good for you. It's not good. It's bad for you. And people who say, hey, I'm going to get into hallucinogenics, that's good. And good luck, my friend. Good luck. There's been some, I think that is one of the most fascinating issues. I think that is what we can do to help people regarding, oh my God, PTSD, kids who have suffered from, years ago. I'm changing the subject, but speaking of Joe Rogan, because he's into the, the drug thing, because they just discovered drugs in it. They own the drug thing because they just discovered them. Anyway, when MDMA and ecstasy, but MDMA in particular, could do in one session what 10 years of therapy couldn't do. You understand this? It was the most incredible thing in the world, but it's got to be administered by a physician. It's got to be monitored, titrated correctly. You just go in and pop some ecstasy, some E. But some parents, I remember reading, there was one particular, it was a married couple. They had all kinds of problems. They sent the kids away, and for one weekend, they basically locked themselves in on doctor supervision, and MDMA basically opened up and allowed parts of their brain. I absolutely believe this. I believe that drug therapy and drug use and therapy can unleash, unfold, whatever you want to release, things that cannot ever be attained by virtue of the limitations of reality and the like. However, you don't do this on your own. You don't sit back and say, hey, try some of this. Let's hope for the best. Hey, no. Same thing with surgery. Surgery is wonderful. You don't want to do it on yourself. So, yes, there's, and thank God for Joe and others to talk about this. We need new platforms, and by the way, let me just say something so that you understand what I'm saying. I want to not err on the side of too much information. Too much. You will never, ever, ever, ever hear me say, nope. Here's one for you. There's an article we had. I found this was so interesting. Is it anime? Was it hentai? What's that thing called? Anime, or you sent me this article from Psychology Today. It was very interesting about hentai, or there's this listen to this. There are people, younger people, who are enjoying. Now listen to this. I find this absolutely fascinating. What you might call, for lack of a better word, pornography, sometimes pretty rough stuff, but not of actual people, but of hentai, whatever this stuff's called. Because it's not real. Where is this article? You spend time interviewing. Here we go. Why millennials love anime and hentai. I'm probably pronouncing this hentai. What parents need to be aware of when it comes to anime. Hentai, again, I hope I'm saying this right, is a Japanese word that translated into English means perverse sexual desire. It's porn that comes in cartoons, anime, or most popular kinds of porn for millennials, young adults, and children. According to one porn site's analytics, detailing the most popular search items on the site, Japanese shot up 4 positions to become the most searched in 2019. Hentai, NSFW, remained the second most popular term. Here we go. In a Cosmopolitan magazine interview, Dr. Leon Seltzer, a psychologist and fellow Psychology Today blogger who has watched the emerging trend, believes the rise in popularity is due to unlimited sexual fantasies available through the format. The erotic illusions possible are also are freed from all the normal constraints of reality. It can heighten the illusion that our libido has now landed on the most idyllic place possible. It also portrays female characters as childlike waifs, uh, uh, secretly desiring to be sexually assaulted. In addition, fetishes, this is from Psychology Today. In addition, fetishes that would be possible in reality can come true. Okay, right. Now, here's the problem. Here's the issue. What do we make of that? How do we deal with that? How do we address this? How do we deal with it? You're not going to deal with anybody. It's certainly not on the Joe Rogan show. This is where you say bye-bye. Bring in Joey Diaz to talk about this? I don't think so. The man's got to know his limitations. We learned that from Magnum Force, Clint Eastwood. Man's got to know his limitations. What we are seeing right now is so historic, so different, so cutting edge, so wherever you turn around. And most Americans, for the most part, do not understand it at all. They're missing it. It's like you were at a ride. You were at the most incredible amusement park in the world. And you were in this little tram. And instead of you looking at what you're seeing, the most mind-boggling stuff, you're looking at the tram like, oh, this is nice. These seats are nice. A lot of room. And it's like, would you forget the tram? Look, that's what Americans do. They're missing it. They're missing it. Look what I've thrown at you so far. Look, centenary of Calvin Coolidge, the end of imperialism, the end, by the way, of the Wilsonian, racist, horrible period of time. Remember that? No, Americans, you never learned that. And he, by the way, this is a man who had a stroke, whose wife basically was running the show. That's number one. Coolidge, 100 years ago today, replaces Warren Harding, who was the most corrupt president ever. He never did anything near what Joe Biden is doing. If you didn't know history, that would mean nothing to you. If you didn't know history, if I told you there's never been anybody like this. When you want to learn guitar, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to show you something. Whether you want to do acoustic or electric is up to you. Nylon string, bronze, whatever it is. But I want you to at least hear. This is Django Reinhardt. This is Barney Kessel. This is Danny Gatton. This is Charlie Christian. These are people to give you an idea of where this thing goes. This is history. And if you don't recognize that, if you don't understand that, you can't appreciate the instrument now. You can't live your life politically if you don't know history. Because if this is a case of first impression, as we say in law, you have no comparison. And Americans do not understand this because they are intellectually bereft, intellectually dormant, torpid. There is nothing. No, shut the internet, shut off the internet, start over. No, the internet is your key. No. The internet is your key. That's the best part. It's here to help you. No, the internet is wonderful. It is incredible. Don't go see Oppenheimer. Listen to the authors, the wonderful authors who wrote about Heisenberg. I told you this. Leo Szilard, the whole quantum mechanics from Max Planck. And did you know that the Max Planck Institute basically said that there's life after death, using quantum mechanics as a basis for this? There is so much richness going on in the world right now. And believe it or not, and I'll go back, Joe Rogan has done more to turn people on to being excited. I don't care what he said. He can, I don't have to agree. Agreeing means nothing. I told you I like Steely Dan, but I don't like every song they've ever done. Believe me. But Asia is my White Album. That's my Sgt. Pepper. That's my Pet Sounds. That's the greatest album to me. I loved it. But can't buy a thrill. Oh. And I want you to do this. Listen to what I'm saying. You're the only one who can open your mind up to this. You don't need drugs for this. You don't need drugs. You don't need to lick a frog's, whatever it is. I don't know what that frog licking thing is, but you don't need psilocybin. You don't need weed. You don't need any of this. Nothing. It's all right here. And you've got to be able to be an autodidact. You've got to be able to read, understand what's going on, and know what to read, and also to vary the levels of influence that you are seeing, because you're spending too much time. I saw something yesterday that blew my mind. There is I'm going to tell you right now. This one saw one of the best things I've ever seen ever, and I want you to understand. It's okay, this is on, okay, a great website, YouTube channel. It's called America's Untold Stories. And this was one on Curtis LeMay. It was incredible. You understand this? It was the most important. It blew my mind. And it made me reconsider. And I love to change my mind. You have no idea. I love when I say, wait a minute. I had heard the story about this thing about the Japanese. Let me stop right there. This is a great one. Stand by for 1 second. I'm glad you brought this question. Hang on a minute. I'm so glad you brought this out. Peter Juvenile says, what's Lionel's take on Gonzalo Lira? Gonzalo Lira, I read the other day that he's trying to make it to Hungary. Gonzalo Lira is, I think he's Chilean, or he's an American citizen who basically was living in, and by the way, thank you, Peter. He was living in Ukraine, and he was just, blasting Zelensky every single day. I'm not going to forget about the Curtis LeMay, but I'm going to answer your question. I'm thinking, be careful, man. And they took him. I don't know if he's in prison or torturing him or what. The American, when everybody tries to bring his name up, nobody cares. He's an extremely interesting person. He's a little crazy in a good way. I like this. He's almost manic. You can hear it in his voice, but he's brilliant. And he's living, I think, in Kharkov. And one day they came to his house, to his apartment, took him away, and I hope he's okay. But a lot of us in the community, so to speak, will say, wait. What about him? What about? Now, this goes to show you, when you're in another country, you don't have the same rights than we have. But for Zelensky to be so stupid as to hurt him. See, if I were Zelensky, I'd take him, I'd have him come back where he's gained weight, he looks terrific, he's tanned. You don't hurt anybody like that. Having a word with him, I don't know what to tell you about that. Just don't imprison somebody. So my point is, I don't know. The question is, read him up, read his various words. He's most interesting, but he's an American citizen, and he was captured, and I want him returned safely. That's it. Remember, I want to remind you of something. You do not need to know. You don't need to love everybody, agree with them 100%. I don't know where that came from. Let me go back to what I was saying. Thank you. Curtis LeMay changed. Curtis LeMay may have been more responsible for winning World War II than dropping in the bombs. We are under the, and by the way, this is a very, very important point. Mark Grubert and Eric Hunley. But Grubert makes the point that, I had always heard that everybody was against the dropping of the bomb, including Stimson, Curtis LeMay himself. What I heard, MacArthur, Eisenhower, that after Russia moved into Japan, and the point was made out, he says, nonsense. They doubled down. They weren't budging after the second bomb. What really got their attention, believe it or not, was the bombing of Tokyo. Tokyo was basically made of paper. If you can imagine that. The construction of the houses, and Curtis LeMay with his B-29s, basically, all right, make a long story short, I had always heard this version of history. And I found myself sometimes repeating what was the consensus because, I'm a young person then, I don't know. Well, guess what? That's not necessarily so. John Maynard Keynes said, whenever the facts change your mind. There is so much good stuff. Gruber on JFK. Oh, fantastic. Here's another guy who is terrific. James D. Eugenio on JFK. Oh, and what I'm watching right now, over and over and over and over, to the point that it's just, and I can watch it forever. It's called JFK, Destiny Betrayed. It's a 4-hour. You got to pay for it. It's worth it. I think Amazon's got it. Destiny Betrayed. Oh. Remember how they made J.D. Tippett out of me? I didn't know anything about this guy. I thought he was just a guy who's just there kind of rocking along like, hey, I'm just doing my job. And here comes Oswald. No. It's beautiful. And the part that gets me. Now, where am I learning this? On Fox News? No. Streaming. Internet. So don't ever say anything bad about the internet. I've learned more about this. That's my first dose of the red pill was I was 5 years old and I saw this thing. So anyway, I wanted to bring this to your attention. Everything you hear is a lie. Everything your government has ever told you is a lie. And by the way, Trump was the one who said, hey, I'm going to release all these JFK stuff. Well, at the last minute, he changed his mind. Trump is still the greatest president in my lifetime. Oh, yeah. Transformational. Absolutely. Remember, the better you are and the more dangerous you are, the more they want you out. Why do you think JFK was out? Why? You think they didn't like him? Why? People have their ideas. Well, they wanted to break up the Intel to Dallas. Yeah, the CIA thing. That's one thing. And the silver standard and silver. Yeah. And Vietnam. Yeah. It's a lot of things. A lot of reasons. Did you see anybody have any reason to get rid of Jimmy Carter? Did you ever feel like Jimmy Carter, like, we got to get rid of him? Of course, citizens didn't like him. What were the two things that Jimmy Carter did? The two parts of the setup. What did Jimmy Carter do? What did Jimmy Carter bring you? What did he bring you? What was so important about Jimmy Carter? Number one, Paul Volcker. And number two, Brzezinski. That's what happened. Okay, Jimmy, Mr. Peanut Farmer, we'll let you win. But first, you got to, Paul Volcker was 9 feet tall. Bring him up. This is where the Fed went crazy. Remember, 20% interest rates? And Brzezinski, we're going to change this. Wasn't a neocon. He was a Russophobe. He is part of this. He's a part of this group now. He's a part of this kind of like Victoria Nuland group. You got that. Joe Miami, thank you. Thank you. Make America great again. Thank you, sir. Joe, you're a good man. You're a good man so much. I mean that sincerely. And John McGuire couldn't get higher, says, and cardigans. Remember, John, what happened with cardigans was, this is when he said there was a malaise. Remember when Jimmy Carter said, turn up the thermostat? Remember gas lines with Jimmy Carter? See, Brzezinski was this guy was, post-Cold War, he would love what's going on right now. He would love Victoria Nuland. He would think she was terrific. That's what she would think, unfortunately. Now, why do I say this? History. You know what's also great about history? History is terrific because it makes you It makes you understand. Let me ask you a question. Think about this. Be honest with me. Let's assume I came to you and I said, remember this girl you were dating or this guy you were dating, whatever it was, years ago. You left them, you didn't care, whatever. 20, 30 years ago, right? What if I told you now, by the way, she was cheating on you? What? Yeah. 30 years ago. How does that make you feel? You're not really upset, but you are, but you're not. It's history. But it's like, you know what? That explains a lot. You know? I didn't understand that. Have you ever been around somebody who had a drinking problem or a drug problem or a gambling problem and you didn't see it? You didn't know it? You didn't understand it then? Did you ever see that before? It's one of the weirdest things. And it hits you like, how could I have missed this? That explains it. And your friends say like, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't understand. I didn't know what was going on because you're so close to it. That's what history does. When you go back and you realize, now I understand it. Now I understand it. And what do you do with history? You learn again. They don't make that you don't make that mistake again. You don't make that mistake. I'll never forget one time somebody told me about this. We don't talk about it enough because it's very interesting. More people, many of you, I'm sorry, may be struggling with a chemical problem, and it's something. It is. It is. And drinking still doesn't get the attention it deserves. It just doesn't. Because it seems kind of, drugs. Now drugs are, that's the one. But drinking is a drug. But the first rule, I learned this years ago. Somebody told me this. The first rule about drinking a lot is hiding it. You got to be a liar. And one of the reasons about drinking is you got to lie. Are you drinking? No, I'm not drinking. Isn't it a little bit early? No, it's not. No. Are you done? No, it's okay. You're always hiding stuff. People hiding bottles and bottles and hiding. Because you have to somehow exist. And you've got a breath and this, and it's horrible. But with the hiding comes lying. And with the lying comes deception, and it just starts going like this. And a lot of times people are so close to it because they don't want to see it necessarily. They don't want to see it right away. And then later on you realize, now the history makes that make sense. That's what I do. And that you never, I don't want to say you never, but you're always available. Just like somebody with a mental illness problem, somebody with an eating disorder, somebody you'd learn. That's history. This is some of the stuff which I find so fascinating. And this is why you've got to understand, and I've got to understand, that when I tell you to go back and learn something, it's not just because it's great to, wow your friends during Trivial Pursuit. When we used to play that, which was remember that? Trivial Pursuit was actually a board game where people knew history and knew facts. Remember how everybody was into that? You would sit around and went crazy over Trivial Pursuit, an actual intellectual reference, a pursuit that was popular. Today, you think Trivial Pursuit today would work? No. Are you kidding? No. We don't have time for that. We're too busy for that. All right, dear friends. That is that. Now, a couple of things here. First, I want to thank you as usual to all of our dear friends who have contributed to the fold, to John McGuire, to Joe Miami. Bless your heart, Joe. Thank you. And to Peter Juvenal. Thank you. Juvenile delinquent. Bless your heart. Thank you. Excellent. Now, remember what we're going to say. Pay attention. This is history. Go back and learn a little bit. Look up Amity Shlaes, Schlaes, I believe. She did some wonderful interviews with Brian Lamb from C-SPAN. Learn about Calvin Coolidge. You will love it. you will say, why didn't I know this? And also, if you get time with Warren Harding, Teapot Dome, his corruption is nothing compared to Joe Biden. Nothing, not even close. Not even remotely close. So think about that one. What else? Oh, yes. Keep watching what is happening regarding our President Trump, because what they're doing to him is beyond horrid. This is history being made before our very eyes. And it's something that I cannot possibly believe. So please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that little bell. And let me also tell you again, my friends, Mrs. L is doing some incredible stuff. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. I sound like a wonderful, wonderful. She's doing some incredible stuff regarding, and I'm telling you, right when I decided to go plant-based, about 14, 15 years ago, that's when all of a sudden everything went. It's like somebody knew I was doing this and said, let's jump on board. I'm not saying it was a trendsetter. I'm saying it was merely coincidental. This is Mrs. L's YouTube channel. I want you to subscribe to it. She started doing this, and people, I'll never forget it. What? Human trafficking? Children? You mean here? Look what's happening in Florida. Florida is leading the way. They're constantly busting people left and right. So follow her channel. This is the most important thing in the world. I read somewhere there was a billionaire who wants to move an orca, some cetacean critter, somewhere because of mistreatment. Children, no problem. Nobody cares about children. So follow Mrs. L. She's been doing it. She's been doing it and been covering this since, I don't want to say before it was cool, but before Sound of Freedom and before all of this. So believe me, we need more folks to do that. In any event, thank you so much. We'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Have a great and glorious day. Thank you so much for your attention, for your focus and the like. We'll see you then. And don't forget this particular valedictory, this sayonara, this adios. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.